They told you helping people was noble. They told you it would come back to you, that karma would reward you. The universe would recognize your kindness, and people would love you for it. They told you that being there for others would make you indispensable. They lied, because if you pay attention closely, really closely, you'll see a brutal pattern. The more you help people, the more they expect it. The more they expect it, the more they resent you for the power it gives you. And the more you keep giving, the faster they forget everything you gave. Machiavelli never said kindness was evil. He said it was dangerous when unguarded, because help given to the wrong person at the wrong time in the wrong way turns you from a master into a servant, and no man who wants power can afford to live as a servant. This is the first law of strategic selfishness. Unpaid debt turns to resentment, not loyalty. The more you do for someone without asking for something in return, without making your value visible, the faster they will convince themselves that you were just doing what you should have done. They'll rewrite the narrative. They'll downplay your efforts. They'll make you small just to avoid feeling inferior to the one who lifted them. And the most dangerous part, they'll never say it to your face. Instead, they'll begin to cancel plans with you more often, talk to others about you like you're trying too hard, and take your generosity and twist it into manipulation. Because when someone cannot repay you, they have two choices. Acknowledge their debt and elevate you in their mind, or diminish you in their mind to protect their ego. Most people choose the second because it's easier to call you too nice than to admit they're using you. Machiavelli observed this often in politics. A prince who frees a city is rarely loved. He's hated. Why? Because now the people owe him, and human beings hate feeling indebted, even if that debt saved their lives. The same rule applies to your relationships. You think you're helping, but really you're giving them a psychological reason to betray you later. It's not because they're incapable. It's not because you're their only hope. And it's not because they truly value you. They ask because you've trained them to. Every time you drop what you're doing to answer their problem, you're sending a signal. My time belongs to you. My peace is less important than your chaos. I will carry the burden. Just keep bringing it! And once you've sent that signal enough, people stop seeing you as a person. They start seeing you as a function, a tool, a lifeline, a fallback, a therapist, a crutch. This is not respect. This is dependence. And dependence without reciprocity is not a relationship. It's extraction. You are giving, they are taking, and you're calling it connection. Machiavelli warned against this emotional illusion. He believed that the man who keeps rescuing others will eventually drown with them. Because weak people do not rise when you save them. They sink deeper, knowing you'll dive in after them. You've been programmed since childhood that helping is the right thing, that good people help, that real friends show up. But that script was written by people who wanted access to your labor, not your growth. You were not taught to help strategically. You were taught to help habitually. And now, anytime you say no, you feel like a villain. You feel cold, selfish, distant. But here's the Machiavellian truth. If helping others costs you your power, your peace, or your path, it's not help. It's self-betrayal. And a man who betrays himself will eventually feel betrayed by everyone else. Because he gave too much. Because he thought they'd repay him. Because he confused gratitude with loyalty. But loyalty is earned, not by giving more, but by giving less to the right people at the right moment when it strengthens your position. That's not selfish. That's strategy. You think you're being a good friend, a good partner, a good person? But each time you say yes, when you should say no, you're paying in ways you can't even see. First, it destroys your time discipline. You keep putting out other people's fires. And suddenly, your house is on fire. You delay your goals. You pause your work. You lose momentum. People don't just steal your time, they steal your trajectory. And worse, you start building your identity around being the dependable one. Second, it builds secret contempt. You tell yourself, I'm doing this out of love. But in truth, you're slowly building resentment. You start to expect something in return. Gratitude, a favor, just basic respect. And when you don't get it, you feel used. But you can't say anything because you offered. So you swallow it and pretend everything's fine until one day you explode and they call you dramatic. Third, it attracts the weak and repels the strong. Strong people don't need to be saved. They respect boundaries. They admire independence. They want equals, not enablers. But weak people, they smell your habit of helping and they come running. The more you help aimlessly, the more you become a magnet for people with problems. People who will never grow. People who want to be saved more than they want to evolve. Machiavelli would say, if you are known for being everyone's crutch, don't be surprised when you're never seen standing tall. The point is not to become heartless. The point is to become selective. Strategic selfishness means you only help those who have earned your attention. You only give when it aligns with your interests or values. You only invest in people who return strength, not stories. Because here's the secret. The man who helps less but smarter is more respected than the man who helps everyone and ends up exhausted. So stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer a bandage. Stop watering people who enjoy being dry. Stop proving your worth through sacrifice. Your time is an empire, and empires are not built on favors. They're built on force, clarity, and ruthless priority. The era of being nice to everyone is over. The age of strategic selfishness has begun. And those who master it, they never need to ask for power. They become it. A man must choose his currency. If you trade in approval, you will be poor forever. If you trade in strategic power, you will never need to beg. Machiavelli understood that being useful is not the same as being respected, and being kind is not the same as being untouchable. The moment you make helping people your identity, you give them the power to define your worth and to withdraw it the second you stop serving their needs. This is why strategic selfishness is not cruelty. It is the preservation of power, the containment of your energy, the understanding that in a world of constant demands, saying no is not just self-respect, it's a weapon. When you stop helping everyone, especially those who've grown dependent on you, they begin to guilt you. They don't ask, why did you stop? They ask, what happened to you? As if growing stronger is a betrayal. As if becoming independent means you've changed for the worse. They'll say things like, you used to be so kind. You've really changed lately. You think you're better than everyone now. Of course, they'll frame it as concern. But it's fear because your detachment is a threat to their comfort. Your evolution means they have to either grow or lose access to you, and they don't want to do either. Machiavelli knew that power isolates, that when you stop serving others' emotional needs, they will accuse you of arrogance. Not because you're wrong, but because they can no longer use you. Strategic selfishness threatens the entire structure of people who benefit from your self. They need you nice. They need you guilty. They need you available. That's how they survive. The biggest myth you've been sold is this. If I help enough, they'll never want to lose me. False. If you help without leverage, without strategy, without demand, you become a tool, and tools don't earn loyalty. They earn utility until they're no longer needed. Then they're thrown out.
You think you're building unbreakable relationships, but what you're actually building is conditional dependence. And those conditions are set by them, not you. You'll hear this one day. I didn't ask you to do all that. You always do that. It's just how you are. You're overreacting. I thought we were friends. These are the phrases people use to escape emotional debt, to avoid repaying what you gave freely. And once they see you as replaceable, someone who will show up no matter what, they stop valuing you. Remember, the man who helps everyone ends up owned by everyone. The man who helps selectively gets chased by those who realize how rare his energy is. Every time you say no, you are building a boundary. Every time you delay a reply, you are reinforcing hierarchy. Every time you walk away, instead of rescuing, you are sending a message. My energy is expensive. Earn it. Machiavelli would agree. Influence is not given. It is taught. You train people how to treat you, not by what you tolerate, but by what you deny. The fool helps instinctively. The strategist helps calculate it. This doesn't mean you become emotionless. It means you audit the request, measure the benefit, examine the pattern, and only then decide if this help strengthens you or only them. Because every act of service that weakens you while strengthening someone else is a loss. Every favor that buys you nothing is a tax on your value. Every time you say yes just to feel liked, you lose altitude, and the higher you rise, the more oxygen you'll need to preserve. Stop wasting your breath on those who would suffocate you with gratitude they never truly meant. Before you help anyone again, apply Machiavelli's mental filter system. First, the intent filter. Why are they asking? Are they asking for guidance? Or are they just outsourcing responsibility? Are they truly stuck? Or are they addicted to your attention? Are they coming to you because of your wisdom? Or because they know you won't say no? People often ask not because they need, but because they don't want to face themselves. And as long as you keep stepping in, they never have to. Second, the reciprocity filter. Will this be remembered or resented? Has this person returned your energy in the past or just consumed it? Do they support your growth or do they disappear when it's not about them? A favor must be a transaction, not emotionally, but psychologically. If a man does not repay your help with respect, loyalty, or elevation, then what you gave was not a gift. It was a liability. Third, the trajectory filter. Does this move you forward? Is helping this person part of your mission? Does it expand your influence, strengthen your image, or deepen your network? Or does it drag you sideways into drama, emotional confusion, or delay? Helping someone should not cost your forward motion. If it does, you're sacrificing legacy for the illusion of virtue. You are not obligated to be a savior for people who choose suffering. You are not responsible for their evolution. You are not required to dilute your fire to make them feel warm. Machiavelli would advise, help the useful, the dangerous, the strategic, never the bottomless. Because there are people in this world who do not want healing. They want a witness to their chaos. And you've been volunteering to be that witness, hoping it makes them love you. But in their mind, you're not a hero. You're just available. And available men don't rise, they rot. The most powerful word in the language of power is no. Not maybe, not let me see, not I wish I could, just no. No explanation, no apology, no emotional aftercare. Because every time you explain your no, you give room for negotiation. Every time you soften your no, you leave doubt in their mind. And every time you regret your no, they'll sense it and try again. The word no is not rejection. It is self-ownership. It tells the world, I am not free. I am not yours. My time is not for sale unless it serves my empire. The foolish man fears using this word. The powerful man lives by it. So from this day forward, stop rescuing people from problems they created. Stop showing up where your presence is only expected, not appreciated. Stop diluting your edge for people who fear sharpness. And above all, stop helping people who would never build an empire with you. Because if they cannot help you rise, then helping them fall slower is not mercy. It's suicide. You don't need to be everyone's support system. You need to be your own center of gravity. Because the world doesn't reward the nicest man in the room. It rewards the most guarded, the most calculated, the most unavailable man in the room. And when he speaks, they listen because they know he doesn't waste his words or his help. The illusion of helping everyone is romantic, but it is a performance only the weak expect and the strong refuse to maintain. Every time you show up for someone without question, without condition, without calculation, you carve another piece off your soul and give it away for applause that fades the moment you're no longer convenient. Machiavelli would never advocate for cruelty, but he would warn, the man who helps too much becomes nothing more than a resource. Not a leader, not a sovereign, not a mystery, just a battery to be drained. It's time to destroy the lie that being helpful makes you needed, that being available makes you loved, that being generous makes you unforgettable. It doesn't. It makes you expendable. Here's what they'll never tell you. Most people don't trust a man who gives too much because they sense it. He needs something. Not necessarily money, not favors, but validation, belonging, admiration, approval. And the second someone senses that you're helping to feel liked, the power shifts. You become the asker, not the decider. You become the provider, not the selector. They no longer see you as powerful. They see you as eager, and eager is dangerous. Eager is predictable. Eager is exploitable. Eager is weak. Machiavelli knew that when a prince gives gifts too freely, his people become dependent, not loyal. And dependency is unstable. The second your gifts stop, the mood turns. Praise becomes suspicion. Gratitude becomes entitlement. And soon enough, they ask, why isn't he helping anymore? What's wrong with him? Has he become arrogant? No, you've become dangerous because you've stopped playing their game. And now they're scrambling to redefine you, because the man who stops giving becomes harder to control. When you start becoming strategically selfish, the labels begin. They say, you've changed. You're not who you used to be. You've become distant. You think you're better than us. What they're really saying is, you stopped being easy. You stopped saying yes. You stopped replying immediately. You stopped fixing things that were never your responsibility. And now they are exposed. Exposed to their own patterns, their own helplessness, their own laziness. Because your presence used to make their mediocrity feel safer. Now your absence makes it undeniable. They want to drag you back, not to honor the past, but to feel less alone in the present. Machiavelli wrote of how people resist those who rise, not openly, but subtly, through emotional sabotage, through passive aggression, through framing your evolution as betrayal. But power demands disloyalty to who you used to be. The selfish version of you is not evil. He's efficient. He's alert. He's ascending. And everyone who benefited from your chaos will try to make you feel guilty for cleaning it up. You've seen it happen. The man who's always there, the one who listens to everyone's problems, the one who sacrifices his schedule, his energy, his sanity so others can feel better. What happens to him? He's the last to be invited, the last to be praised, the last to be remembered when real decisions are made. Because while he was building relationships, others were building status. While he was managing emotions, others were managing influence. While he was helping, others were climbing. And when he finally stops and looks around, he realizes something Machiavelli knew all along. The man who is always giving is never in charge. Because power doesn't come from being useful. It comes from being needed. But unavailable, it comes from mystery, from distance, from perceived scarcity. The man who is always present is never powerful. Because people only fear losing what they can't predict or replace. You want to help? Then start by helping yourself become less reachable. That is where power begins. So does this mean you stop helping entirely? No, it means you help like a weaponized king, not a wounded servant. Here's how. First, make help a transaction, not a donation. Even if it's emotional support, insight, or time, make it cost them something. Not money, but effort. Loyalty, discretion, exclusivity. If they didn't earn your presence, they won't value it. If they didn't struggle to reach you, they won't fight to keep you. Help withholdingly, not recklessly. Let them feel the weight of receiving it. Second, never help the same way twice. If someone needed you once, that's fine. If they keep needing you for the same thing, cut them off. You're not their second brain. You're not their emotional trash bin. You're not their plan B. Machiavelli would call repeat favors weakening rituals. They make others dependent and you expendable. Instead, help once, then disappear. Let them figure it out the second time. Third, only help those who rise with you. If they aren't building something, growing something, protecting something, why are you investing in them? Help people with momentum. Because when they rise, they pull you up with them. But help someone who's stagnant, and all you'll get is dragged back down. Never help out of nostalgia. Help out of alignment. Sometimes the greatest favor you can do for someone is to stop being available, to remove your protection, to vanish without warning, to force them to become the version of themselves they were always avoiding. Because when you're always there, they never become. And when they finally face their own failures without your shoulder to cry on, they rise or they don't. Either way, you kept your power. This is Machiavelli's deeper wisdom. Mercy must be cold. Kindness must be chosen. Help must be laced with cost. Because if you save someone too early, you don't just delay their growth, you become their ceiling. So, stop helping to be liked. Stop helping to feel useful. Stop helping as a way to keep people close. Let them rise or collapse on their own. Because your empire cannot be built on emotional favors. It must be built on selective loyalty, on respect bought through distance, on strength that serves itself first, so it can't be hijacked by the weak. The man who stops helping carelessly doesn't lose people. Los leches. And that is the beginning of unstoppable power. The greatest lie society sells to strong men is this. You owe the world your energy. You owe no one. Not your time, not your help, not your